Welcome to the Why Not podcast with me, Chrissy Hawkins. In a world where everybody asks you why, I'm here to ask why not. So sit back and relax or walk and listen and join me on this journey as we try to answer this never-ending question: what makes people say, why not? Hi guys! So, I have an interview today. If you have not heard about the Hay campaign, you may have been living under a rock, or you might be involved with horses or agriculture in general, but basically the mental health awareness initiative, and I'm going to talk to the mastermind behind it, Shane Rooney, today. So guys, I hope you enjoy this, and remember, don't forget to say to any of your friends today, hey, how are you? Hi guys, welcome back to Why Not. I have a guest for you today. So you may have heard of the Hay campaign. If you haven't, you need to check it out, especially if you're equestrian. But I actually have the mastermind behind it with me today. So this is Shane, and we're going to talk all about how he came up with it, how it just basically exploded in the last month, and yeah, pretty much all that. So welcome to the podcast, Shane. How are you?
Look, it not too bad. I like what you did there. How are you?
Yeah.
But I think anyone that's been reading the Grassroots Gazette for the last month is just it's coming sort of second nature to them now. Like, just it's the way everyone introduced. I see Shane McCarthy has gone from hello everybody to hey, how are you? So look, it's great to be talking to you, and it's great to be, I suppose, starting to focus now, changing it from going from, say, like a January campaign into a year long campaign. So yeah, no, it really just started sinking in. Really started sinking in there past couple of days. But no, we're gonna make hay while the sun shines.
Brilliant. So just to get started, right, for anyone who may not know what it is, if they're living under a rock, like per se,
Yeah.
what is the Hay campaign?
Well, look, at the Hay campaign is basically a positive mental health campaign that I launched on the start of January. The idea came about on the 27th or 28th of December, so it was very much lastminute.com. But look, at like the original plan was to create a campaign to raise awareness about opening up about mental health. And the easiest way I thought about doing it was to reach out to friends and family. Like, not necessarily every day or whatever like that. Like, if it was a case that, like, say, if you set it out to, like, every Friday for the month of January, or every Saturday, like one person a week. Like, once you trust them and once you trust that they'll listen and understand, well, try to understand anyway what you're going to, is basically the original idea that came about the campaign. But Jesus, like, if I realized like how big this was going to get in such a short space of time, like, I'd have probably I'd have done it years ago. Honest to God, like, it was absolutely it. Now look, it took a couple of days to really sink in with people. Like, people were looking like the hay campaign is like, oh, there's a shortage of hay and all this crack, like, do you know? And next thing, when people started seeing the videos and started looking deeper into it, they realized that, right, the hay part is irrelevant as such. Like, it's just a means of how to, I suppose, connect equestrians and the agricultural community together, to be able to realize, like, that there is a problem with mental health in both sectors.
Yeah, so like the Hay, obviously it's like an abbreviation or whatever. I can't remember the exact term for it, but it stands for Hay. Like, so it stands for how are you? So asking someone how they are. And I think it is really good the way you put that in. You tied it in with hay, because, like, if you're involved with horses, if you're involved with agriculture, you can't get away from the fecking stuff, can you?
No, and it's one of the most recognizable things in any yard, whether it's agriculture, whether it's show jumping, whether it's race and breeding, dressage, eventing. Like, every one of them has at least a bale of hay or a bale of haylage or something along the lines like that, tucked away into the yard somewhere. But the problem was that even though it's like the hay part was so recognizable, the one thing that wasn't recognizable was that the problem in the problem in the communities, like with mental health,
Yeah.
and the stigma behind opening up about the problems is one of the major concerns. Like people were, it was almost like a taboo thing. Like I'd see it myself. Like if people that I sort of knew would say walk into like a social gathering or like a pub at the weekend or something like that, like, and it just didn't seem themselves.
Mm.
Like people's first reaction would be like, "Oh, what the fuck is wrong with that lad?" Or why is he so sour today?" Like, instead of thinking, right, he doesn't seem himself. I might just ask him and check in on him and see how he is or she is. Not
Mm.
necessarily just men, but like I say he is like
Don't
is,
worry about that. Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
just, but like for men in particular, like it's so it's seen as a sign of weakness, like, and like
Mm.
even like when I was going through sort of hard times, like whether it was school or college or anything like that, like you'd be sort of looked at, and you'd be sort of told to, just will you ever get over yourself, or will you ever, like get up and move on and all this sort of crack, like. But like, there's nothing wrong. Like Brendan Murphy put it absolutely brilliant there one day, um, saying that it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay that way, and
Yeah.
that's that's something that's stuck with me and is going to, I suppose, stick with me for a very long time, going about this and going about to promote this as best we can. That like it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay that way. And
That's a really good way of
like
putting it.
it really is. And like, even like there's been so many writers that from the Grassroots Gazette that have come together and like come up with these little quotes and different things like that, like, and every single one of them you'd always sort of you'd sort of pick bits and pieces out of them, and to be able to go and say, right, okay, well, we have the baseline here to be able to come up with a really good campaign.
Yeah.
And look at it. I said at the start of January, I said the first thing I said is we're going to take over the world with hay. I never thought it was going to be possible, but we pretty much did. Like, in terms of the equine communities worldwide, that the fact that we've created history with all governing bodies from Ireland coming together,
Mm.
for the first time ever, to support this mental health week. Um, I never thought that. Well, I was hoping that we might get a race sponsored in our name. It was one of the first ideas I pitched to Shane McCarthy. Uh, Being truthful here, and Shane won't mind me saying this, but he says, "No, not a chance." He says, "Way too much planning for one like little moment. Like, it's something that we need to focus on at a later date." And next thing, boom, Peter Rowe comes in contact. Shane McCarthy, we want to sponsor a race in the campaign's name.
There
But
you are.
oh, look at Chrissy, like
That's
every
great.
single day. And like I genuinely mean it when I say, like, the whole impact of this campaign really sort of just sunk in after January passed, because every single day there was something new. And
Yeah.
like, whether it was a video or whether it was a text, and or whether it was just someone saying thanks for, you know coming up with a campaign that's after helping them massively.
Mm.
um like, every small little thing that's been done over the past month is really after sort of hitting home there now. And it just, it's not, I wouldn't say, look at it, it's put me sort of back, but it's sort of driven me forward to be able to pursue this now, and to really drive forward, and to make the equine sector and the agricultural sector a much better place.
Yeah.
Um, like, I would definitely love to have the ag sector tied into it some way, shape, or form. Whether we do like a teamed month for people in agriculture as well.
Could you get
Just
something
the fact,
sponsored at the National Ploughing Championships?
yeah, and so something like that. Even if we got like a stand or something like that, like, and
Yeah.
held a few podcast episodes with, say, like, I know Finn Walsh, he'd be one of the main um he'd be one of the main influencers in the agricultural sector, and he's all about the hay campaign. Like he even advertised it on his own his own TikTok page, like,
Deadly.
and like yeah, like that went out to I think 125,000
Oh,
people. Like that's how many subscribe to his channel. But like there's millions watching his videos every single day. And like to see something like that from someone so influential in the agricultural sector, I was like, yeah, I was like, and like I know the Grassroots Gazette and everything else like that. It's all equine sort of based, but like the reality is like the majority of equines in Ireland like would have their toe dipped in some sort of agriculture as well. Like, it's just one of those things. But um, yeah, like it's just really after taking off, and it's just like all these thoughts are all just starting to come in now, and it's just like, right, okay, we need to do this, we need to do that, and Shane McCarthy's still sort of trying to pull back in the reins and tell me to slow down, but I was like, no,
that's not like him.
well, look at he's more. See, I suppose I come up with these plans, but with no real organization or structure to them
Oh,
as
that's
well.
fair.
And he's like, no, he says we have fun to chaos there. He says you need to come back now and plan this properly. He says, so yeah, like that's just the way it is. But like we are really trying to drive forward now with this, and we're very lucky with the likes of Colin Clark and Brendan Murphy as well. The two of them are 100% behind the campaign as well. We are really driving it forward, um, to push for a better place in the equine and agricultural industries.
Where did the idea come from initially?
Oh, very dark and lonely places, Chrissy. Look at Werner O'Toole is another one that came up with like a couple of these slogans that I was talking about, and she was just like, instead of like saying it's a bad day or a bad week, it's just a week or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, and I was just having a few days where I just wasn't myself. Like I was, it's a long story, and it was an awful lot of it was fueled by drink, but like it all sort of came about on the night of Stevens's night, and a few days after, like a couple of words were said to me that were completely untrue, and like just because they took a dislike to the industry that I'm in, um, as opposed to who I am as a person. It was one of
Yeah, I
those
get you.
one of those things, and
But that puts you have
yeah,
to factor into racing.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
That's
That's
that's exactly it. That's exactly it, and the breeding aspect of it as well. Like we have our own mare at home there, like that, like, and we had another mare before it, like, but um, she unfortunately died there a couple of years ago from colic, and Paul, to be open and honest about it, like it was basically accused of sending that poor mare to France for meat.
like,
That Yeah, and like I bought that mare on the back of losing a very very good friend of mine called Grant Mannion, um, and it was my coping mechanism to be able to not move on or get over, but to get through the hard times.
yeah.
And like when I lost Cheerio Sweetie, oh Jesus Christ, I was a full 3 months before I was back normal again, if there ever is such a thing. But like I really took that hard, and I really blame myself for, like, I know there was nothing I could do about it, but like it was just the way I was wired. I was blaming myself an awful lot for like how she went. Like she was still a young mare, and she was absolutely like, to look at her, like she was, you'd nearly swear she cost 100 grand.
Yeah.
Like she was stunning, absolutely stunning, and she had such a heart of gold. Um, but like even to hear something like that, like, and like this came from like great family friends through the years, like, and it was just more so fucking drink infused and like, do you know, it was
Yeah.
like it just sort of not that it completely knocked me, but it did take me back, especially from the people that I was hearing it from.
Yeah.
Like I thought, I definitely think that I present myself in a great way and a great way about looking after my horses and keeping them as happy and as well as I possibly can. But
Mm.
like to hear something like that then on the back of it all, like it was just one of those, oh fucking hell, I can't ever fucking win in these situations, like.
Yeah.
And I just felt lonely, and I just felt like it was me against the world. And
Mm.
I says, right, I need to look. It came into my head, and I don't know how it came into my head, but I looked up the statistics for like mental health issues in say like the racing industry.
Yeah.
I maybe it was just for consolation to see if I was the only one or not. That was probably it. Um, and yeah, I was shocked. Like 80% of professional jockeys that took this particular survey, I think there was 56 in total,
Mm.
suffer from at least one diagnosis with mental health disorder. And that was fucking eye opening. And like that shook me more than what was said in the pub that night.
Yeah.
Um, so I says, right, this is more than this is about more than me now. This is about a whole industry, and
Mm.
I could only imagine. Like I know racing has, I suppose, a favourable funding project from the government and all that. Like, but like there is nothing there for the likes of say show jumping that I could find anywhere or
Mm.
eventing or dressage or anything like that. Like so, I says if these professionals this amount of professionals that are suffering. Like, what in God's name? Like, what in God's name sort of an amount is of the amateurs? Like, say, like the
Yeah.
show jumpers or like anyone that's just sort of trying to do this as a hobby. Like, what are they going through, and like, what are they suffering as a result of it? Like, and I just came up with this campaign that the fact that I felt a bit lonely and felt that like someone to talk to was all I really needed. And next thing, how Arya came into my head, and I just says, right, how are we going to tie this in? And next thing, fingers clicked and the penny dropped, and hey came into my head. Hey being the first letter of each word, how are you? And
Yeah.
that's basically the idea I pitched to Shane McCarthy, and he says, "I love the concept. I absolutely love the concept. We're going to run with this now, and we're going to really come come at this from all guns blazing." And thank God he did because Jesus Christ, like it's been an absolutely unbelievable month, and like
Yeah.
I know I know there's been some of the writers there that have had their projects put on hold and everything else like that. Like, and for that, I genuinely am sorry, and I know like funny, funny. We should mention that. Like, it was me that won the award for most articles pulled from the Grassroots Gazette. So, like, I know what's like when like it is something just is either put on hold or doesn't make the cut. Like, but
Mm.
um, I'm glad the fact that so many people, like especially the ones that have had these projects being planned an awful lot longer than I had, got behind the campaign so well and really played a massive part in the success and the growth of this whole project.
Yeah, I think everyone understood that, like, this was a big thing. Like, so I don't think
Yeah,
I imagine like
yeah,
there's no animosity
yeah,
towards it. And I think everyone would do it again if it happened. But I
yeah,
think as well, the fact that you did it in January was like such a perfect time, especially for
yeah,
anyone who works in agriculture or horses. Like people who are like giving out to you about your horses, they don't understand the hours you spend in the
yeah,
cold shoveling shite and
yeah.
they're
Yeah,
like,
that's it. That's it. And like we were chatting, myself and Shane McCarthy were chatting John Fitzgerald there one day, um, and he was like, "Yeah, timed it absolutely perfectly." He says, "If you did this 6 months ago, it wouldn't have worked.
Mm.
If you did it like a year ago, it wouldn't have worked. 18 months ago, we were still in COVID, like, or I
Yeah.
think we were anyway. And it definitely wouldn't have fucking worked then, like, because there was other things going on. But you look at, yeah, like I don't honestly know how it came into my head, but like I'm so glad it did, because it's after opening up plenty, like, so many friendships as well. Like there's people that have came to me on the back of this and have just opened up about their whole scenario and their whole life,
Mm.
and like what's going on behind the scenes and behind the screen, and the Instagrams and the TikToks and Twitters and whatever. Um, like, people don't realize that what you see is not essentially what you get.
Yeah.
Um, and like I it's not that I was shocked, to the sense that, like, these people could never suffer, but like they're the last people that you think would be suffering.
Mm.
Um, and that's, like, I'm so glad to the people. I'm not, I'm I for respect to themselves, I'm not going to name them, but they know
Oh,
who
yeah.
they are. Um, and I could not be more proud of the way they, like, the bravery they showed, just to be able to open up. Like they only met me once or twice, like maybe at like the races or the awards night there in November last. But like, it's mad how impactful this has been. Like, do you know, like, people would be like, "Oh, Jesus, how are you? And how are you?" Like, you meet them on the street, like, and people would think nothing of it. But like, I think we're after changing the meaning behind those three words.
Mm.
Um, and like, for something so simple, it seems like it's sort of magical. Do you know,
Yeah.
like, it just seems like that it just seems like it's too good to be true. But
I get you. Yeah.
yeah,
But do you think as well, like like I know you can always talk to someone and you probably know people you can always talk to,
yeah,
but you've in a sense opened that dialogue and you have had people literally just like broadcast on their social media. If you want to talk, you can talk to me, which is giving people who are struggling that invite. That's why
yeah,
people who are coming and talking to you, maybe they're talking to you because they don't know you. And they
yeah,
think like you're not going to judge
yeah.
them like their mom, their dad, their sister, their brother, their cousins, mates, like.
Yeah, yeah, that's I suppose that's another way of looking at it as well.
Mm.
Like, but like, I've always been, I don't know whether it's blessed or cursed, but I'll say I'm blessed. I've always been blessed with a listening ear, and
Mm.
like, I'd always listen to someone's problems, and I always try and not necessarily give them advice, but give them a friendly sort of push in the right direction.
Yeah.
Um, like, that's the way I've always sort of been, and it's the way, like, Grandad is great. Like, he's going on 102 now in another couple of months, but like, he's always said to me, he's like, treat everyone like you'd like to be treated, like, and
Yeah.
like, there's plenty of time for crack and everything else like that, like, but like, if you respect and if you be honest and open to different people, like, it's the best way to live a happy and healthy life.
Do you find yourself like if you like say for instance you said you're always been great for listening to people, but you say because of that you have kind of kept in your own things and you haven't talked to other
Oh
people?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For years, Chrissy, like, I I don't think I properly opened up to someone until after Grant's passing, and that was like I've been carrying things since I was maybe about 6 or 7,
Mm.
and it was going from there on up until, what, about 22. So you could say the guts of 17, 18 years,
Yeah.
carrying different
Jesus.
burdens. Like, yeah, like, it like people often says to me, this is, I'd love to see what goes on inside your head. I says, oh, by fuck, you would not. I says, but like, yeah, no, it's just the reality of it. Like, like I was always bullied as a kid in school, and I was always sort of the outcast and the outsider, and
Mm.
like it just carried on, and like different little shitty things like that you just sort of bottle up and leave fester, and next thing all of a sudden you have a fucking mental breakdown. It's one of those, like, it's just one of those things. And like the fact that I've listened. Now there's a couple of people that I have genuinely opened up to and told them so much. Um, and I suppose since writing these particular articles about opening up about mental health and opening up about my own stories as well, it's definitely helped me sort of, I suppose, loosen the fuse, and just sort of let a few things off my mind. But like, yeah, no, for years, Chrissy, I was bottling and bottling and bottling, and next thing all of a sudden it just fucking went went mad. But
Yeah.
like that's what happens, and like I learned that the hard way, and for like a brief period of my life, I was sort of delirious, and I was doing things that like doing things that I really shouldn't, and like thinking things I really shouldn't. But
Mm.
like it was like I was living a different. It was like I was living an outer body experience. Like I didn't think that I was doing these things, and I didn't think that I was, thinking the way I was. But when I look back at it now, like I realized like that what I was doing was very very dangerous, and like the way I was thinking was completely false, and like just trying to, like, basically, like after Grant's passing, I spent about 2 or 3 months on suicide watch, and
Mm.
ended up going for therapy then, and went on antidepressants, and look at where we are today. Now thankfully I've gone past the whole suicide watch phase, but like there is days where I'd feel worthless, and I'd you know feel sort of run down, and you know I'd be very hard on myself as well. That's
Mm.
the other thing. Like I am a bit of a perfectionist. Like the fact that I came from chefing is one of the worst cases for that,
So
because
you're
like
doing chefing?
yeah, no,
Oh, good Jesus, yeah.
yeah, I what you call it, I worked as a chef for about 7 or 8 years, and yeah, like that is it's either all or nothing. It has to be
Mm.
perfect, and that, I suppose, I'm still sort of wired that way as well, and like that's another reason as well. Like I do be very very hard on myself. Like if things don't go the way I'd like them to go, or like if I was to say fail an exam, or like if I was to you know do something do something I shouldn't, like in work or in general life or something along the lines like that, like I beat myself up, and I beat myself up about it, like. But
Getcha,
like
yeah.
now I'm another thing as well, like I'm sort of gone. I'm not completely gone, but I'm less of that sort of person now than I
Mm.
was maybe about I'd say maybe about 6 or 8 months ago now.
Yeah.
Like Jesus, before, like it was crazy the way it was going on, and like people probably didn't realize what way I was sort of viewing myself, and what way I was, I suppose, going about handling different challenges and all that, like. But sure, it was all completely negative. But like now that I'm after going through this month, and I'm after seeing the right way to do things and the right way to go about life, it's definitely put a massive, massive new perspective on the
Mm.
cards, and it's going forward. Look at it, it's going to be tough, but it's a good building block for, I suppose, building a new sense of life.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it is, you're saying, like, you still have bad days, but that's just being human as well. Like,
Yeah,
It's like, as Brendan said, it's okay to not be okay. You just
Yeah,
have to stay that
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Um,
That's it. That's it.
and even if you're having a day that's not optimal, I suppose you can kind of look at it and go, well, that's just today. Things will move
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
I'd be like yourself. I'm terrible for negative thoughts, and I'm trying to openly catch myself all the time now. When I give out to something, I'm like, no,
yeah,
no, that's not it.
yeah,
And it's really hard. It's a, like once you've been in that habit for so long, it's very
yeah,
hard to break it.
yeah. And that's it. And like, especially, especially going from chef into the horses as well. Like a funny story I'll have to tell you. Like when I first started going to say for counselling and whatever, um, the, your man asked me. He says, "What do you do?" I says, "Well, I was a chef," and um, I says, "I'm getting out of it now." I says, "I need to try and find something else." He says, what are you thinking? What are you looking for?" And of course, he was probably thinking that I wanted something handy and something simple. I says, anything got to do with horses now and me. And he says, "Oh fuck," he says, going from the fryer into the frying pan." He
Yeah.
says. Oh, but look at like I wouldn't have it any other way. Like I suppose since getting Cheerio Sweetie, like it's been a therapeutic.
Mm.
It's more therapeutic than anything else, like because like I just have that. I just make that connection with horses,
Yeah.
and like it's like it's like a friend away from a friend.
No, I understand. I think like that's what I was saying, someone giving out to you about the being involved in racing and stuff like that,
Yeah,
it's horses, when people horses, they're not like the 99% of people, it's like they're not just a commodity to us. They are like
no,
our friends, our partners. We spend
yeah,
like we build bonds with them. Like myself, like I have my own horse. Now he's only a little cob, but like we've had him nearly 15 years. And
yeah.
it just so
It's a
happens
life.
in
It's a
January he injured himself. And I'm like, what
yeah,
do I do now?
yeah. But like it's the fact that they like providing they live a safe and happy life
Mm,
for years and years and years,
yeah.
and like it's a lifetime, like
Yeah.
so like of course you get attached to them, and of course you get attached to like every the place that I'm in now in Tinnakill, like Dermot Cantillon, he has about maybe 100 to 150 mares,
Mm,
or 100 and 150 horses, whatever amount. Like he's a massive, massive amount. Um, but he can tell you every little, like he can tell a story about every single one of them. And like he says to me, he says, "Shane," he says, "every horse and every mare or every like whatever sort of a breed of a horse it is, every single one of them has their own story to tell."
mm,
And like that really sunk in, and that really, it's all well and good saying, "Oh, that horse is mad," or "that horse is this or that," or whatever like that, like, and other people looking in like saying, "Oh Jesus, they have more money than they know what to do with," like, and they're
mm.
buying horses, and they could have maybe 100 horses out or whatever like that, like. But like, Jesus Christ, like buying a horse and buying a race horse in particular, like you lose about 80% of your money overnight. Like that's that's the way it goes, and like like it's something that like I think you can agree with me on this, Christy. Like you look after them more so than you look after yourselves,
Yeah.
and like I think that's where so many have fallen behind. Um, like they focus so much on their horses and their horses' health that
Yeah.
they haven't necessarily took the time to look after themselves. Um,
In
and
all
like it's
parts of their
about
life.
in all parts of their life.
Yeah.
Jesus, yeah, like, and it's the way it is, and it's just something that like we decided that needed to be changed, and
Mm.
like um that this was the best way to go about it. But like if you told me now, say like a month ago, that this would have gotten to where it has today, like I'd say, nah, nah, not a chance, not a chance. There's like I would have been happy if we had one person that's the way I am, and that's the way I'm wired. But like every single day, I was seeing multiple stories. Like I remember I was on the phone to my mother there one night in particular down when I was in Kildalton, and
Mm.
phone call lasted about 7.5 minutes. I I logged into the Hay campaign like I was only after logging out of it there just before I rang my mother, but logged back in and there was like 13 messages and like 74 notifications in seven
Jesus.
and a half minutes. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's absolutely mental.
I like
And
that video
like,
you put out on Hey Monday as well. Didn't that have like near 50K views
yeah,
within a couple of
yeah,
hours? Like,
nearly immediately. Yeah, like it
yeah,
was.
it just exploded.
Yeah, no, and like even I still look back at that like, and I still get very emotional over it because like an awful lot of these people are my heroes, and like
Mm.
the first two people like Rachel Blackmore and AP McKay, like the two of them are probably the best of their own generations. Um, and then goes into Danny Mullins then as well, and next thing into Shark Hanlon and Willie Mullins and all the other like all the other sectors all congregated together as well for the same video as well. But like I I'd know more so the racing end of things than I would say for like show jumping or like
Yeah,
dressage. I wouldn't have a clue about dressage or like eventing or anything like that. Like, but like give me racing and like I'd be able to nearly name. I'd give it a good go and naming nearly everyone in the country that's doing it. Like, you know,
yeah.
um,
And I'm a little bit like the opposite, but even with that video, looking at it, I was like, I know
yeah,
all these people. Like, these are
yeah,
big names, you know, if
oh
I
yeah,
know them, you know?
yeah, and that's it. And like yeah, it's still in a sense sort of surreal, but I'm starting to I suppose come to terms with it now. But um, like even that day in Fairy House, like
Yeah,
when we
you
were
were
there,
on
like
like cloud 9, you were, because I
ah
remember I went up for it and you didn't
yeah,
know what to be
like
doing.
Mirren took photos of me that I didn't realize she did, and like there's ones there, and I'm just looking up at the screen like this, and oh Jesus, like you nearly swear there was an apparition coming up, so there was. You nearly swear the Virgin Mary was coming over the hill there, very else. But yeah, like it's just like I can't put it into words
Yeah.
like how amazing it's been. Like
Where's
it's
next for it now?
oh look at like I'm half thinking about setting up a podcast, trying to get that sort of organized and how we're going to go about it. But um hoping to get hoping to have it sort of like teamed around like a friendly chat over a cup of tea or something along the lines like that, like and just talk about life in general and like how different people overcome the hard parts of life and I suppose prosper to what they are today. That's sort of
Really good idea.
that's sort of the idea that's sort of coming into my head now. There's other parts as well where we're sort of half thinking about like looking down the lines of like a magazine or something like that.
Okay.
Like something similar to the Grassroots Gazette, but I doubt Shane McCarthy wants to do any more magazines like
Fifth
with the way
magazine,
things.
maybe sixth
Yeah, oh,
magazine.
Jesus Christ, you wouldn't know where to go. But um, I definitely like to target the agricultural shows, the big agricultural shows over the next year. If we could get a stand there and just, I suppose, like what we've been doing there in Fairy House
Yeah.
and Leopardstown and different things like that. Just get the word out and get. This year is going to be basically a year for, I suppose, advertising, if that makes
Oh,
any sense. And if we can get a fundraiser set up as well to be able to,
that'd be
you
cool.
know, like that's probably the biggest goal I have now for the rest of the year. Like to have some sort of a fundraiser or a
Mm.
fundraising campaign. Um, and then once January 1st comes in of 2024, we'll be ready to strike and we'll be ready to really provide a good mental health service for the equine, the ag, if we're lucky enough to get the sponsorship or whatever. But it's all just about planning and like how we're going to be as impactful in 2024 as we possibly can. And people are saying, I'm probably saying I'm mad that I'm planning it so far in, but I want to be ready by 2024 to really take the world
You
with
won't
hay.
start planning on the 27th of December this year.
No, and that's one that's one of the mistakes I made. Um, yeah, it's one of the biggest mistakes I made with this whole campaign. But yeah, no, it's going to be well thought and well planned out. And there's a good team and a good solid team of maybe about 5 or 6 people there that we're all sort of working in conjunction for the one goal. And I'm very, very confident that 2024 we are going to be very, very big and like a very impactful organization.
Yeah, I fully believe that too as well. I don't doubt it for a second. I think now that is pretty much everything I have to ask you. But
Okay.
you are going to have to tell everyone where we can find the Help Hey campaign, how they can follow you, what they can do to get involved,
Yeah.
all those bits before we go.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we have a Facebook page, we've a TikTok page at Hey Campaign. Um the Facebook is just the Hey How Are You campaign.
Mm-hmm.
The Twitter is at hey_campaign, and the Instagram is hey.campaign. I tried to have them all like with the one with the one username, but
Yeah.
trying to find that now is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. But boom boom.
Nice joke. I love it.
But yeah, no, it's that's basically where you'll find us. And like if we have the podcast up and running now next, make sure to just keep an eye for it, and hopefully that we'll be able to go target all the major, say, podcasting platforms. And look at if we're lucky enough to be able to monetize it then, and to help kickstart the campaign for, I suppose, getting in a mental health project or something there, just to be able to add a little bit extra support for either the equine or the agriculture or whatever industries that we decide that needs
We'll
it
go with
most.
both because you
We'll
know you're
go
going to
with
go for
both.
both.
Yeah, yeah. Go big or go home.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We're
that's it.
targeting them all. They're all getting it.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it. Eventually they will anyway, but if we need to prioritize, it'll be probably equine first and the agriculture then after. That's just the way that I sort of envisage it. The fact that the majority of the people getting behind it so far are equines is a sign to me that that's where the money needs to go. Money needs to go first if we are lucky enough to raise a bit of money. Um, but I will be looking into getting the agricultural scene involved as well. Yeah, definitely for sure.
Yeah. I think it's, I suppose, in a sense, it's kind of harder to get the agricultural because, like, say, for instance, like with the equestrian, you can go specifically target racing, show
Yeah,
jumping, dressage. But, like, what do you target when you're going to the agro size? Do you go,
yeah. It's probably, I suppose, the local Chagas office or
hmm,
some like yeah. It's even like Macron and Ferma, like the young farmers, like that's probably the best option to go if we are going. And that's, yeah, it's probably the place that I will be sort of targeting, because like look, it's all realistically the young farmers and the young,
yeah,
like, equine people that are like tend to be, I suppose, the more vocal about the whole
yeah,
lot of this. And it's great to see in a sense, but like if we really want to get impact and everything else like that, like we need to get these people on board, and to get them, like, not necessarily reading off a script, but to be able to know what to say, like, to someone that's showing signs that they're not totally themselves, or they might be suicidal. Like I completed a suicide awareness course in the space of about 20 minutes there a couple of weeks ago, called ohana.ie. I
mm-hmm.
think it's ohana.ie or ohana.com. Look up Ohana anyway. Um, very, very impactful. And if anyone, I'd rather send people towards that than I would say for like the likes of the hay campaign or like that, like, because that is realistically more important than, say, more followers or different things like that. Like,
Yeah,
is
I get
like
you. Yeah.
we want to try and save as many lives as we possibly can.
Well, that's it. Like,
So
and I
that's
think
it.
it is just a start, and you definitely will do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, with the help of God, anyway, that's the end goal. That's the
Yeah.
end goal. If we can completely flatten the curve in the mental health sector, that would be job complete. I'd be able to die a happy man then.
Until then, we start getting it low as we can.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, great. So I'll just say for everyone as well, who if there anyone's looking to follow me, you'll find me my horse Instagram and TikTok is at strong in the saddle _ on Instagram, and at strong in the saddle without the underscore on TikTok, because I ran into the same problem as you did, Shane. And my website is chrissyhawkins.com. So just want to say thanks again for joining us, Shane. It was absolutely brilliant to talk to you about all this.
Sure, always a pleasure, Chrissy. Always a pleasure.
I really do appreciate everybody who listens to this podcast. So if you please could help me with the algorithm and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And even, if you want to reach out and suggest topics for me, I'd be delighted to hear from you. Drop me a DM on Instagram or TikTok. And thanks again for listening.